Hi, everybody. It's Joyce's Voice. I'm back again to read you a little bit more of a story. This time I'm going to be reading a book called I Remember When, and it is by D. Merrill Green. I hope you enjoy it. Who am I? I suppose I must be still. It pains me that I must disclose, for this record, my full and complete name. This reluctance is not easy to explain, but I become very sensitive about my first name when I was very young. At that time, I could easily be provoked into a fighting mood whenever my mortal enemy dared to call me by it, and I can't even remember why. I just know that from the very first, I always objected to being called Denzel. Yuck! Merrill was my given name, the one I always answered to. Yet it is possible that my being so sensitive began because my full name, Denzel Merrill, was only used when I found myself in major trouble. There may be some who would claim that this happened quite often. However, as I grew older, I learned to compromise by just signing my name D. Merrill Green. My mother, Emma George Green, originally came from Monroe County in southeast Ohio, and my father, George Washington Green, was born and raised in Athens County in southern Ohio. I was the fourth of 6 children in my family. The firstborn, Reginald, died shortly after birth. A second child, Thelma, died of polio at the age of 18 months. Elma Armetta, their third child, was barely 6 years old when I came along. Armetta claimed to me that her very own immediately after I was born. She just knew that I was a belated answer to a mail order from a Sears catalog that she had placed a few months earlier. You see, my folks had asked her whether she would like to have a baby brother. Of course, Sis was all for that idea, for she was only a child at the time and had absolutely no one that she could pick on. Her order was made after she had carefully chosen the one she wanted from the pictures of babies in the catalog, then painstakingly scribbled her choice on a Sears order form she found on the back pages. She then took her order out to the backyard and placed it in the Martin Box birdhouse that was atop a tall pole out there. She used this method to mail her order because she had been told a stork was responsible for all the baby deliveries. She felt, I suppose, that the martin birds living in the birdhouse had a direct access to Mr. Stork. Mom said she had climbed up the pole like a little monkey to put her order in just at the right place and then waited impatiently until I was delivered. I was told later that she was reluctant to accept delivery of her order because what she had received was nowhere near as nice as the one she had ordered. Mother convinced her I would improve as I got older. Soon after I was born, March 21st, 1917, my folks moved from their small house, which had been located near a railroad stop called Flagdale near Bremen, Ohio, to a larger farm 20 miles away. This new place was near Pleasantville, Ohio. I was too young, of course, to remember moving. Therefore, the second home was the site of my earliest memories. I remember that our house was in the middle of a large pasture field in gently rolling small hill country. The half-mile-long lane leading from the country road to our house consisted of 2 bare tracks with grass growing in between. A great place to walk barefooted in the summertime. There were large shade trees all around the house, and an artisan spring of water bubbled up in the front yard. I remember that spring vividly, for I loved to drink from a tin cup that hung on a post nearby. The water was always very cold, even in the summer. During the years that we lived at that place, I have many fond memories of our lifestyle there. Especially do I recall the possessions that I prized the most, my playthings. I had a wheel from a broken and discarded coaster wagon that served as a steering wheel for my imaginary automobile. I took many make-believe trips in that car. Discarded kitchen case knives and spoons were used as construction equipment to build roads and tunnels in my dirt pile. Small wooden blocks made from dirt hauling trucks. Looking back, I have come to realize that the amount or quality of a child's play toys has very little to do with what happens, for I had few possessions at that time, yet I was very happy. My folks raised their own vegetables in the garden behind their house, plus those plus our own pigs, chickens, a cow, etc., ensured that we were never hungry. We had a constant supply of milk, eggs, butter, and even had buttermilk left over. In those days, before the invention of refrigeration, most everyone did their own preserving of fruits, vegetables, and meats. There was a second spring of water in our backyard. It was inside a little cave, over which a small building was built. This water, too, was always cool in the summer, but seldom froze in the winter. This spring house served quite well as our refrigerator. Alongside the spring house was our smokehouse, where, at butchering time in the fall of the year, our meat was either smoked or salted down to preserve it. This was also a place where the fatty chunks of pork near the skin were rendered into lard for cooking them in large cast iron kettles over a fire. The outer skin, often thus rendering, was left quite brittle with certain chewy spots thrown in for good measure. We called these cracklins. Pork rinds are still available in grocery stores today, but I consider them only a poor imitation of a good old-fashioned stuff. I dearly loved to chew on these cracklins, and I constantly badgered my mom for more. They would always put a limit on the amount that I could have, telling me that too many were not good for me. This, of course, never made sense. How could anything that tasted so good be bad for me? I would simply have to take matters into my own hands somehow. Later I asked her, "Ma, where do cracklins come from?" At the time, my mom was really busy ironing a basket of laundry while she stirred something cooking on our wood-fired kitchen range. Since my latest question was only one of many that I had been asking all day, she said the first thing that came into her mind, "Oh, from pig's tails, I suppose." That answer popped an idea into my head. Sometime later that day, my mom decided to check on me. Since I was nowhere to be seen inside the house, she began looking outside. She finally found me following a pig all over the field next to our yard. I had the pig's tail stretched out between my left hand, and I was sawing for all I was worth using an old case knife from my dirt pile in the right hand. She said later that, since I was so little and the knife was so dull, the pig had ignored me. My first attempt to make my very own cracklins ended in failure. So that's the first chapter of this book. I thought it was pretty interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. And I just wanted to say a little bit more about myself. I decided to do these readings because I've had many compliments, and over the years that people love my voice. It's soothing, calming, and they really enjoy it. I used to talk on the phone 8 hours a day as my job, and I have heard this many times. I hope you are enjoying it as well, and I'll see you next week. Bye.